indexing the CPI to inflation is abdicating our responsibility. I know that people are talking about it saying
we're indexing it. We're not giving it to another agency.
Okay. Indexing any sort of gas tax, indexing abdicates our responsibility because it lacks accountability for an agency to come back to the legislature and say that we need to have an increase in taxes. When we talk about being grossly irresponsible, that's what this is. I will be a no on this vote.
Excuse me. You are impugning all of us that have worked on that bill. So stop with that.
I used Representative Gamba's words.
Stop
he said
with
grossly
it.
irresponsible.
You've made your point, Representative.
I'm using words
You've
that somebody
made
on
your
this
point.
committee actually used.
You guys, that's it. That's
Enough.
it. We'll carry this into another room.
Okay, so the pressure is certainly on the rise in Salem. Democratic Senator Chris Gorsek of Gresham interrupting Republican Representative Shelley Bossart Davis during a work session on the big transportation funding bill, which has quite a way to go before this year's legislative session ends on Sunday. Bossart Davis filing a complaint against Gorsek, claiming he violated the legislature's respectful workplace policy. I caught up with her today. She was home, boycotting, waiting for an apology from Senator Gorsek.
It was shocking, obviously. I mean, if I kind of go back and I watched it and heard, other colleagues on talk about the bill, how egregious it was for minutes upon minutes upon minutes, called the bill and the process wrong and egregious and grossly obese, and nobody else got shut down and shouted at. So I think that it was actually a terrible process. It was quite shocking, and something that shouldn't be allowed from a person in leadership.
Also sitting at home today instead of inside the House chamber, House Republican leader Christine Drazen.
I was angry on behalf of my caucus member that they would be disrespected in that committee process.
9 Republicans in total participated in the boycott, refusing to show up to the House floor over concerns about Senator Gorsek's behavior that they called wholly inappropriate. But just about 3 hours ago, I got a text from Senator Gorsek. Take a look. It says, to allow for the committee's focus to remain on completing the Oregon Transportation Reinvestment package this session, I have offered my resignation from the Joint Committee on Transportation Reinvestment effective immediately. I support the compromise that's being offered from the House, and I look forward to voting in support of it on the Senate floor. But it doesn't end there. Today, Senate President Rob Wagner also left the Joint Committee on Transportation. Now that move comes after a different bit of controversy when Wagner kicked Democratic Senator Mark Meek off the committee last week after learning that Meek was going to vote against the bill, putting the bill at risk of dying before even reaching the House floor. Now, with Wagner on the committee, the bill moved forward to the House floor today, but was immediately sent back to the Transportation Committee for amendments. 2 other Democratic senators will replace Wagner and Gorsek on the committee, neither of whom would talk with me on camera today. But in a statement released just about an hour ago, Representative Bossart Davis said in part, the decision by both of these men to step down from this committee without acknowledging the impact of Senator Gorsek's misogynistic rage towards me shows that this is merely an effort to expedite shoving through the most expensive tax increase in Oregon history with 6 days left in the session. Now, I asked Senator Gorsek if he plans to apologize. He's not responded. But putting the personal politics to the side for just a moment, let's get back to the reason behind it. Money for the state's transportation agency. House Bill 2025 would raise nearly $15 billion over the next decade, mainly by increasing taxes and other fees, including a gas tax hike, phasing in a new per-mile tax for electric vehicles, and a new point-of-sale fee on new car purchases. Most of the new revenue would go to the state highway fund, which pays for basic operations and road maintenance.
You have Oregonians that are struggling with high gas prices already, and then you're going to add this on top of that. So it's a huge tax increase. It hits all Oregonians. The payroll tax that's in this bill will triple, and that hits every Oregonian that gets a paycheck.
That was Republican Senator Bruce Starr. In February, he was tasked with leading an effort to address ODOT's accountability issues. He told me today this bill does not go far enough to hold the agency accountable.
There's some of that stuff that's in this bill, so that is good. I mean, there's some good pieces in this legislation, I think, that are important. I personally probably would have wanted to go a little further. Reforms of the agency, how they do business, some of the communication that needs to occur within the agency and then outside the agency.
So I asked him what it would take for him to vote yes on this massive bill.
A lot, to be honest, and especially now since this rollout, I think, has been so clumsy from the majority, and the public now have their eyes on this tax bill.
Today, I also caught up with the Democratic Senator Con Pham, and I will say, my photographer and I walked the halls of the Senate and House all afternoon trying to find a Democrat to talk with us about this bill, and Senator Pham was the only one who agreed. She supports the bill and acknowledges that the rise in taxes is one of the main sticking points for those against it.
I think all of us are deeply concerned about the rising cost of living in Oregon, and I take that very seriously. And that's actually a big reason why I'm supporting House Bill 2025, because I think the costs of inaction are much greater. I'm really committed to passing a transportation package. I know that there's a lot of tension, a lot of stress, but I'm really I would say my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, I've heard, are really committed to making sure that we build a transportation system that works for all Oregonians.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, the House sent the bill back to the Joint Committee on Transportation, where more amendments can be made. Rumors circling the Capitol today of what those changes would be include lowering the current proposed 15-cent hike to the gas tax over the next few years, not indexing that tax to inflation, and potentially even removing the tax on new and used car purchases.
And it might be enough to get House Democrats to vote yes, and 18 Democrats in the Senate to vote yes, but we will see.
I would give it low odds. Oregonians cannot afford this, and it is massive. It is huge overreach. I think if they would have come up with a proposal that was more balanced and certainly one that listened to Oregonians, I think that there would be an opportunity for them.
Politics is the art of compromise, so I look forward to seeing what that amendment holds.
So the bill hangs in the balance. If there are increased taxes or new fees, which are expected in some capacity, the bill would need supermajority approval in both chambers. That's 36 votes in the House and 18 votes in the Senate. Democrats have exactly that number in both chambers. But if any Democrats break from the party, like Senator Mark Meek has said he would, without major changes to the bill, Democrats will need a Republican to join them. As of tonight, it's not clear when the Transportation Committee will hold the next work session on House Bill 2025. And it'll have to be soon because the last day of the session is Sunday, the 29th, because the bill still needs approval in both the House and the Senate before the end of the day on Sunday. So, how do you see the current transportation drama playing out at the Capitol? Let us know what's going through your mind. Email us at thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090.